Hi, so as you can see with the Paladin discussion this time, instead of just the thingy background, I'm not doing this through a broadcaster, I'm going to do it through XSplit Gamecaster because my guild has decided to put on a heroic Emerald Nightmare run. Now, I'm slightly tentative about this because I've had a few problems when I've streamed in the past because Twitch chat works for a little while, and if you could say something, that'd be great so I can actually check it's working. But what ultimately happens is after, say, half an hour, it suddenly stops telling me, feeding me up with the chat. Now, this is something that only happened since I joined this guild. So I think it was something to do with Discord. Great, thanks very much. I thought it's something to do with Discord. So I've shut Discord down. Hang on. And come here, you twat. Because this is a discussion one, there's not been like specific questions people have been asking. I thought we'd talk about like what's coming up in patch 7.1.5, and this doesn't require a lot of competition or concentration even. See, I can't even concentrate on words by doing it, and so it should be fine. Oh, I hate Wrapped. Well, that's my DPS gone for this fight anyway. Never mind there. So basically, yeah, what we're going to do in this one is just throw it out to whatever questions people have got with regards anything to do with either what's happening in Legion right now with Trial of Valor or even Emerald Nightmare, or what's coming in patch 7.1.5, or indeed what's coming, as far as we can tell, in 7.2. Oh, do you know what? It's just as well this isn't mythic. So, does anyone get the ball rolling? Any particular questions that people have? The data I'm getting actually up here isn't actually working, so that's not a good sign. But as long as the chat is working, then that should be fine. I'm going to try and kill him now. I think one thing a lot of people were wanting to ask is about 7.1.5 in terms of the new legendaries, and also what's happened really recently, of course, with Divine Hammer. Yes, exactly, Divine Hammer. I don't know is a simple answer. It's such a recent... I only clocked the hotfix. I know it was sort of announced on... I think it was the 22nd. I didn't actually see it on the 22nd. I've only just seen it a couple of days ago. I haven't really had chance to check if it's something I would use, say, in dungeons. It might be, again. The main reason I stopped using it was specifically because it was just taking too long. But it may not know. Hi, Anax. So, unfortunately, I don't know. The best way to check it would be to wait until Simcraft is modelling it correctly again. It may be now, because it should be a simple change. I don't know whether it is or it isn't. But when it is, and I'm not going out for rock. I don't care. I'll just put it under the boss. It'll be fine. There we go. Fine. Don't do that at home, by the way. That's not good practice. This is only because it's hopefully easy heroic, and my damage is already knackered by getting 2 other rots. But I don't want that shit. Yeah, on Simcraft, obviously you wouldn't do it as a patchwork thing. You'd do it as hectic ad cleave, just to see how that works out. But I'll need to ask Mizranano. I can't never pronounce his name. People who do Simcraft stuff, I need to basically ask them if Simcraft has been updated to take account of it, and then I'll put something out on that. One thing a lot of people have been asking for is about the Zeal thing, of course, because I'm using Zeal even on single time. I'm using, actually, now the same talents for everything. This is my... No, it's not. That's PvP for some reason. Actually, that's annoying. I'm now... Where's it gone? PvP rank 2. I was spectacularly annoyed at that. 2 druids in a row kept ganking me in Suramar yesterday. I don't know why, because after I've killed him a few times and they've killed me a few times, surely no one's getting any honour, but, yeah. So then I invited a couple of people from the guild to join in, and then I ended up getting PvP rank 2. which is spectacularly annoying because now I might actually have to do some more just to get more ranks. But yeah, sorry. So this is what I use for everything now. That's what I use in dungeons. That's what I use when I'm soloing. That's what I use on single target raid bosses. It's what I use on cleave bosses. It's just what I use. I'm not changing anything. It's really bizarre. And obviously, I mean, it may change in 7.1.5. Not least of which, obviously, they're changing a few things. They haven't yet said what their philosophy is going to be with Ret. I assume they're going to. They have already with like 6 specs. We've had 2 hunter specs, 2 mage specs, protection warriors, and shadow priests. No one soaked that. How mean. So yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. I mean, I do keep checking it, but yeah, so far, Blade of Wrath and Zeal, just better for everything for me. It's just how it's working. PTR of Crusader Switch by now. I actually don't. I cannot get onto the PTR. I tried it yesterday, I tried it today, I've tried it a couple of times this week. Just keeps telling me the world server's down. Then I tried switching to a US server, created a new character, and I'm getting a different message, but it's the message is still no. We're not going to let you get onto it. So I don't know if it's just me or what. So what have we got? Zeal. No, that Zeal doesn't feel... The thing is, like, when I calculate... I do calculate these things myself on a basic level. And if you are using Crusader Strike off cooldown, there's no argument about it. Fires of Justice is going to do more damage on single target. Taking into account the damage from the ability itself, plus like Zeal gives you 1 holy power, so I add on to it when I do the calculation. I factor in armor because it's physical damage, but then I also factor in 1/3 of a Templar's Verdict because it generates 1 holy power, and for Fires of Justice 1.2 over 3 because it has a 0.15, sorry, because it has a 15% chance to increase that. And Fires of Justice comes out on top, but that is only if you're using it on cooldown, and you don't. Especially during Crusade, you just don't. So when you sim it, and simming it is the only way to do it reasonably accurately, because it is a fairly complex calculation, really, or has a lot of variables. With the equipment I've got, it just comes out that Zeal is just doing more single target damage. Alright, I've got to read this, sorry. But so, yeah, and answer that question, really finish it off before I go to the next one. Zeal doesn't feel so. There are times, yes, when, very rarely, when, like, I'm waiting for something to come off cooldown, but that doesn't happen that often, and overall it is doing more damage. So, Jordan's gaming. So, Whispers of the Nathrazim Cloak, does haste become even more valuable? I suppose it does a little bit, yeah. Inevitably, because during Crusade, of course, you've got no problem at all with Whispers of the Nathrazim. Outside of it, keeping the buff up is going to favour haste a little bit. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that it's going to favour haste so strongly that you just load up on loads and loads. You still sim yourself your stat ways, but it will inevitably favour not only haste a little bit more, but it will also bump up mastery, inevitably. Hi, Earth. Congratulations on Guam, by the way. This is something we've only had a few pulls on so far. It's been mostly disastrous. I think we took longer on Odin than we really would have liked. Yeah, as I say, the Twitch thing is... I think it's related to Discord. Oh, let's kill the totems. I hate switching targets on this. Totems, killer shaman. It seems fine so far. Hopefully it will remain like that. As I say, I've exited from Discord, so it should all be fine. What 2 legendaries would you want to wear? In the current one, if I couldn't have any of the 2 DPS ones. The one I've got now, which is the Bracers. Aegis Yalmer. I think I'm pronouncing that maybe something like correctly. Oh, I better kill this. Actually, I don't know what they're doing here. We've got like 3 distinct groups of things. I'm going to die. I'm just going to run away. In terms of the other one, it would actually depend. Like, there are some fights where you might want the boots for the extra speed. I don't think that many, really. There are some fights where, if it weren't for the mastery on it, I wouldn't actually mind the neck even in its current form. But, oh, like, none of the others are really all that great, are they? I mean, I suppose you would just have to say the boots and the braces, but I'm not that happy about it. Like, on a lot of fights, because our movement isn't brilliant, it's not as terrible as it was going to be. It's not brilliant. I try and avoid moving at all, so being able to move a bit faster doesn't really make any difference. But as I say, in 7.1.5, we'll have more than 2 legendaries that you really want. Although the braces are nice, I will actually miss wearing the braces. For like Mythic Plus dungeons in particular. It doesn't actually need to proc that much. That's why I'm a little... At first I was disappointed with the nerf to Divine Intervention coming. But then I think, well, it doesn't proc all the time. It's not like I'm using it all the time, so I might not even notice it. Except in dungeons, where I might. I sometimes deliberately proc it in dungeons. Let's have a look. What's next? Hang on. I have no idea what they're talking about. Who should I put? Hang on. I should probably have to put this on the gnome. Should I put it on? I'll give our DK a chance. And the whoring mage. Go on then, ask your questions away, Calro. With the Fires of Justice, it's not just about the haste. Hang on, what group am I in? Let's not cock this up. I don't think they mean that. I don't think they mean that. Right, okay, well, then we'll go with that. I'm orange, that's all I need to remember. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's not just about the haste, it's about, you know, other things as well. It's like a balance of it. It's not so easy as to say above this level of haste you use one and below it you use another, unfortunately. That's why you just have to keep simming it. The new legendary shoulders look very nice. Oh, they've cancelled it. We're not pulling. Yeah. A lot of the new legendaries look quite nice. Even the trinket looks like it'd be decent on a couple of fights in Nighthold. I'm alright with that. I quite like the trinket. I like the shoulders. I don't... The main problem with them is, of course, we're not going to have them. Whereas, like, the changes to the waist and stuff like that, well, some people have... Oh, shit! I'm not using the crusade. Oh, dear. The changes to the waist... You know, some people have got the waist already, so that's something to look forward to. Whereas the new shoulders and stuff, well, no one's going to have those until they're... Alright, here's me. Eye for an eye. Where are they? Over there. Oh, this is pretty terrible, isn't it? The mages have got ahead from me. How much would I prioritise following stat weights? Yeah, I mean, stat weights are the only thing we can realistically go on for when we're judging gear, when we've got all this Titan Forge stuff. This is the problem. Gearing is more complicated in Legion. Oh, I don't want to get hit by momentum. So the only thing to go on, really, is, apart from trinkets, of course, and relics, are the stat weights. All I generally do is I sim myself once a week, start the reset, and I just go with those for the week. Unless I get, if I get like a new, if I got like the cloak, legendary cloak or something, then sure, I would do it again. Like for a major upgrade, I might do it midweek, but generally speaking, I'll just go with that. It's never that much different. I mean, my general stat weights have not changed massively for like the last month, and yet my gear has increased by at least 6 or 7 item levels. Oh, we've killed a tank. No, that's probably good. I hate these kill times as well. I know I cocked up at the start, but the fact that we're killing it just as my Crusade's going to come off cooldown is annoying. But there you go. There is no way to make a bis list. There is just sim for stat weights and just use those. Like if I do pawn, it's telling me it's upgrade for but that's not my protection. None of these are an upgrade for me, of course, so I can't really show you an example. But I just put my own stat weights into a profile that I call Retnub, and that then lets me know if it's an upgrade. Just in terms of the equipment, in terms of the ones with just raw stats, obviously, not for trinkets or relics. Or legendaries, indeed. I always say with haste, take as much as you think is comfortable. Like, if you're not comfortable with the amount of haste you'll have, let's say, even if you're being told that haste is not your highest priority, but you just feel that it's a bit sluggish, then get more. Just get more. Wait until you're comfortable and then go with stat weights. That's what I would say. Because some people with stat weights are not having haste prioritised, even when they're down to like 16, 17%. Now, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that, so I would ignore it at that point. No, look, you must have just joined us. Sorry, I've got to read names. Desolator. These are this is my PvP rank. That sort of tells you how much I PvP. The only reason it is rank 2 is because yesterday I was being ganked in Suramar, and they didn't learn. They killed me a few times. There were 3 of them. But so now I don't PvP, essentially. Hello, Tokunawa. So now I know nothing about PvP. Why am I dying? I think this is because we only have one main healer here. The other one's an alt. And they're both paladins. I don't know what that means anymore. In terms of, like, one thing I do, like, if you're trying to think about future patches or how stats and stuff like change, what I would recommend is what I do, which is if I get a high item level piece that's not an upgrade from a coin or something like that, or from the chest, I don't destroy it. I just keep it in my bank. So in my bank I've actually got quite a lot of gear, like 880 to 890 stuff, that's not an upgrade for me. But, you know, you can't rule out it being an upgrade if they change something. Now, I'm not sure they're going to change anything now before patch 7.1.5 from what I gather. And by then, maybe, I don't know, 880 will be too low item level. But I am keeping it. Oh, hi, Sanchez. Yeah, as I say, it's a little different, this one. It's because because there's not been, like, specific questions on technical aspects, I haven't had to sort of prepare graphics for the background. Plus, as I say, my guild decided to do this at the same time when I'd already announced the time. Iran's relaxing Ruby, yeah. Yes, I gather the Ruby is, I think, I certainly think it's worth going after. Right, I'm going to put this on mages, warlocks. Where's the other warlock? And again, the whoring mage, I think. Because there's quite a lot of trinkets, actually, look like they shouldn't be very good for Ret. Because it talks about, you know, proccing off spells and stuff like that. And then it turns out they just proc off everything. Our Rets, it just says star, star, star for me. Either you're swearing or you're saying the word gnomes, because that's the only word I ban on my Twitch chat. Rets are very good in Mythic Plus, I find. I have not felt weak in any of them. Admittedly, my braces bungs me up a little bit, but yeah, no, I felt fine. So I don't think they're weak at all. I think quite useful, in fact. Like, and there's certain affixes where I think particularly useful, like skittish, for example. It's only mildly annoying when a mob suddenly aggroes onto me, because I've got like Shield of Vengeance. It's an opportunity to use that. I've got Eye for an Eye, so being meleeed isn't a major problem for a few seconds. You know, you've got a lot of things that mean you can put up with it better than others. Now, I don't know what the considered view is. I'm sure if you were to design a perfect Mythic Plus group, it may not include a Ret, but at the same time, there's nothing to stop Rets competing with whoever they're in with in dungeons. I don't think there ever have been, really. I think we've always been fine in dungeons. It's just that when you have a situation, you sort of want one. You want someone who's got heroism. You don't want too many melee. You would ideally like someone with an AoE stun, which we don't have. There's little things like that factor into it. Divine Hammer. It may well be useful in Mythic Plus. I'd like really to sim it. So I want to make sure that it is being accurately reflected in SimCraft now. Now that they made the change, I don't actually know. I need to ask if it is. Blade of Wrath will, of course, be... I mean, that's useful on everything, including the bosses. But if Divine Hammer now, which it does... I've got to stop going on that one. Is now affected by haste, which you can see that's down to 9.69 seconds for me. You know, compared to... What is it for this now? What's the cooldown on that? I can't see, it's under the chat. 8.48 seconds. I'd be thinking of dungeons, yeah, I think Divine Hammer probably will be better, but that's me just looking at it and knowing that it was better before they broke it, for me personally. So I think it goes back into the mix. I may well start using it in dungeons, but I'd like to sim it first, and I'd like to know that SimCraft is going to accurately reflect it, as I say. Do you think they'll keep the change for Legendary Bay? Everything's up in the air. Everything completely is up in the air. I don't know. I think they'll keep the change in that they won't revert it back to the situation it is now, because that's shit. No one likes that. But they may tone it down if it looks too powerful. I don't know. How do you play with Zeal? If your rotation's awkward, then either get a bit more haste or maybe it's not best for you. It feels fine to me, because a lot of if I use Fires of Justice, I'm going to find that it's just available too long. The usual rule with Crusader Strike is you don't want it to be on 2 charges ever. You don't mind it having 1 charge available, but you don't want it on 2. Very difficult to do, and impossible to do on. Oh, we're stacking these on Crusade during Crusade, which is when you're doing most of your damage. Right, now, I need to remember to bubble when my stacks reach 9. Hang on, where's the other dragon? We have got 2 dragons here, haven't we? I can't bloody see them. I'm using Divine Storm, so there'd better be 2 dragons. I can only see 1. Oh, there's the other one. Right, let's try and stand in something. Pop this Shield of Vengeance. Yeah, well, the thing is, like with PTR, I can't even get onto the PTR. Obviously, if people have noted, it's a bit buggy, the haste problem. And, as I say, I think it's not like they're focusing on all specs equally. They'll focus on a few at a time. And I think we've got a lead into which those few are, because, of course, they've talked recently about 2 specs. No! I forgot to use bubble! Oh! Sorry, right. That's that fucked. Dumb it. Yeah, sorry. So what have they done? They've done Fire Mage, another type of mage, Arcane, I think. Survival and Marksman Hunter, Protection Warrior, and Shadow Priest. Oh, I don't care about logs. I never care about logs. I care about beating gnomes, but I will at least beat the gnome. There'll be no problem there. That was, that was annoying. Never mind. But yeah, so I think they're basically telling us which 6 they're doing now, and then maybe there'll be some post with another few specs that will, and hopefully at some point they'll talk about Ret, and maybe that's the point at which they're wanting feedback about Ret. We'll just have to see. And then we'll have to, of course, swamp the feedback threads or people that have access to the North American forums anyway. Yeah, we keep them stacked. But you have to keep an eye on your buffs, your debuffs. Sorry. So when it gets to 9, because if it gets to 10, obviously you get stunned like that, and you can't break yourself out of it. And it shouldn't call it a stun. Well, I can't, in all honesty, say I'm farming for it because I'm doing very, you know, I'm farming for it means that you'd be doing nothing but AP awarding content. But I do very much want the 35th trait. At the moment, I am nowhere near it. I'm on what? I can't even remember. 32. Hey, up, what's going on? Why am I a tank all of a sudden? What's going on? Right. Thank goodness for treat death procs. Again, haze isn't the be all and end all, but there'll always be people that will do more DPS than you. Even with the same stuff. It's just how it is. But yeah, as soon as I've got the 35th trait, I'll probably develop my other weapons a bit more. Maybe my holy weapon and then learn how to heal. Oh, we've eaten someone already. Yeah, I mean... Hey, up, stop killing me. What the hell? I can't actually see the target here. I've put the chat over it. So, yeah. I don't actually know that it's even on me until it takes a bite out of me. Yeah, there's certainly been times when I could have done more to get more artifact power, I think, and because what I've tended to do is try to spend more time on alts to try and get, you know, trades done, because it's very expensive to try and deal with consumables if you're not able to make your own, things like that, flasks and potions and stuff. My trinkets, I've got an 850 faulty countermeasure, and I've got an 880 Chains of the Valorous, which drops off Odin, which is a strength versatility trinket. I also have access to... Oh, I'm not going to find it now. Am I? It's in here somewhere. My bags are such a mess. Which I've been using for a bit, which is the Etins thingy that drops off a world boss that's not up anymore. That's like our strength, crit, haste and mastery on it or something like that. Yeah, you do. I did do a video like last week or something on using Simcraft with trinkets. Even if you don't own them, it is possible to sim it without actually owning it. Right, who should I put the... I'll put one on Gnome. He's probably going to do a lot of damage. I'll just... let's see, I'll just try those. I'll hedge my bets. Only reach the sim DPS at Hersok. Well, Hersok is pretty much the only like pure single target fight, I suppose, apart from Guam. All the rest have got, even Nathendra, because you're going to have to move out for rot and stuff like that, and move around in during Heart of the Swarm. There's target switching in other ones, which sometimes can increase your DPS, but sometimes can reduce it. Depends on the balance between how many times you get to use Divine Storm, and how much time you have to spend just wandering around and not doing DPS at all. Like on this fight, for example, I might get several times the ability where I have to move out and drop green stuff, or move out with tornadoes. Everyone has to move out from the splat circle at some point. I don't might myself because I don't expect to do top damage. Like, even if you come top damage, let's say this was as a result of a fight, that wouldn't have been worth might to myself, because 10% of that would have come from Blessing of Might. Or 7.5%, they're slacking. But that would reduce it down. You need to put it on whoever's going to do the most raw damage. So there is no fight where I would put it on myself, because I would have to be significantly ahead of the top three, the other top three, realistically. I don't know whether this one is better. It depends on the item level. If you were to get the Plague Hive trinket, I'm also not entirely sure. There were a lot of paladins were using it. If you look at the damage it does, it's okay. It's not brilliant though, but it's okay. But I don't have it anyway, and there's no way I can even coin for it. The only way to get it is for it to drop, and you to ask for it over other casters who may want it, or indeed other. I mean, we've got a feral DPS who's not in this raid at the moment, who was using it. I'm not sure if he still is, and he was doing pretty well with it. And if it works with a feral druid, I mean, blimey. I don't have any spells. So all I can really say is that this trinket, this Strength Versatility trinket, is the best trinket that I have available to me. It's not. I'm not saying it's the best or second best trinket. It's just the best one that's available to me in terms of what I have. Trinkets are few and far between at high item level.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Right, this is the only fight where I start off with Wake of Ashes, because she's going to jump up and knacker my crusade damage anyway. There she goes, little beggar. Oh, have I taken health bars off? What's going on? Strength haste, yeah, especially if haste is still simming, as these bastards aren't going to move out, are they? Because it's heroic, they're going to stay there. Oh no, they have moved. All right. We've got some dirty DPS whores in this group, but in actual fact, they have sort of moved with it. 870 faulty countermeasure, you lucky beggar. Now, I always, you know, if anyone has a Vault of the Warden's key, I always sort of gently let it be known that I would quite like to... Where's she gone now? To be involved in that. I never shy away from a Vault of the Warden's run. But no, that's the only time a faulty countermeasure has dropped for me on any epic item level. That's 850. But you can only use what you've got, essentially. Right, have I chosen well? I put mine on those two. So actually, 2 of the top 3 are doing good damage. I'm going to have to stand in shit with my shield, because to do some extra damage, it's the only way. Stood in it too long, but I knew I had my cheat death. Right. What's that crap? Don't want that. Couldn't explode the other one. Have I got any artifact power? I've got a few. Pop those later. I need loads still. It's such a grind now, artifact power. I still need 300,000, over 300,000. Horn of Valor. Hang on a minute. Calrel, what are you using? Mastery. Oh, is that the one I've got? The, yeah. Oh, it's got Mastery on yours, has it? Oh dear, that's a shame. Well, Horn of Valor's quite nice. In fact, when you look at it, you look at Horn of Valor and 40 countermeasure, and you'd sort of think Horn of Valor should be better, really, given your strength, but it just isn't. Because, you know, the just sheer amount of damage that 40 countermeasure does is ridiculous. Well, I actually have to admit to being rather embarrassed. I mean, I knew faulty countermeasure. Oh, dear. Was going to be pretty good. Even at the start of Legion. Tank's trying to kill me. Seems to be forgetting I've got a cheat there. Oh, shit. Come on in and kill him. Someone kill him. Ah, stun him again. I should have used my crusade. I haven't as yet had to do any awkward prioritising with relics. In theory, so let's have a look. So 895 there, that increases the crit chance of zeal. So that's not amazing, it's decent. In theory, if I got a holy relic that had the increase to Avenging Wrath on it, and it was a bit lower, I would use it. But I haven't as yet had to make that decision. Again, you can sim that as well. I mean, everything can be simmed. That's why, as I say, I updated my Simcraft video to show how to do not only trinkets and indeed any gear that you don't yet have, you're just looking ahead, but including relics as well. It's fiddly with relics, but it's, you know, it's all right. You can do it. Oh yeah, the fire relic of Savers. I mean, I was fortunate enough to coin that one, 8.5 version. Oh yeah, 1 item level is definitely worth it. Yeah, even a little bit more than that, really. Oh, dinosaur. So let's have a look. Yeah, sorry, yeah. Faulty countermeasure, I was saying. When I was doing a clean out of my bank, because as I say, what I do, if I have, like, gear that isn't an upgrade at the time, but might be like, oh, he's done it again, the little beggar. But might be at the time. He's killing us all. Oh, no. I put it in the bank, and every now and then I go to the bank just to see, because if it's gone down to, you know, obviously if I've got 830 item level stuff in the bank, that's never going to be an upgrade. So I do a clear out, I disenchant it, add to my stock, and then for I was doing that the other week, and I found a faulty countermeasure in there, an 825 one. I think I'd obviously misread what it was. So I had a decent one for a while and wasn't using it. Oh, Bop Relic. I suppose you have to at that item level. I mean, it doesn't make your Ashbringer 15 item levels higher, of course, but, you know, it'd be 5 item levels, wouldn't it? So, yes, I suppose you have to then. I mean, that's the reason why this is the boss, isn't it? That's the reason why I never coined this boss, just in case I ended up, where is it? With the crap relics that drop off this. So that's the Blessing of Protection Holy one, isn't it? And even that one's not stunning. That's a Judgment one. It's better. But yeah, I feared coining that, because I would probably have had to use it, and it's like, I don't really want to. I don't even like having to go put all my hard-earned artifact power into the Bop trait now, but I've got to do it to get the nice 5% extra damage increase. Oh, do you want to ask it again then, Calro? Yes, the Xavius relic is Biss, and in terms of holy relics, I suppose a very high item level one of the holy relics in Blackrook Hold, if you get lucky in Mythic Plus Dungeons, because that has because that's the Avenging Wrath one is obviously by far the best. How do you keep high DPS off the initial burst? It's easier. It's the initial burst, the crusade thing, where oh, you little beggar. It's just as well we don't pre-put on this fight, where you have the problems. But at the same time, it's just as well it's easier, because you're getting much less benefit. If you work out how much damage you're actually doing outside of Crusade, it's a very small proportion of your total damage. Right, this is the fight where all the DPS whores love it. Because they just stand in the middle and AoE everything. Yeah, I don't even pay attention to who even drops it in... Might as well build up my holy power. In Black Rookhold, because when you're doing Mythic Plus it doesn't matter, it just sort of drops at the end from the chest, doesn't it? Yeah, that's it. I mean, in Crusade windows where you can't cock it up. That's why, as I say, I knew I'd cocked up earlier on Ursot when I was too busy talking and didn't pay attention to the fact that that I hadn't actually popped Crusade at all while my potion was running out. Because if you bugger it up there, you have buggered it up. Why aren't they running them in? Come on. Oh dear, I'm going to die. How many more does he need? Oh, that one didn't even hit, I don't think. No, it didn't. 2 more needed. This'll do it. Oh shit, we've got loads of them. I mean, during the Crusade, this is just the intense burst. I just focus on making sure Judgment's up, and when I've got 3 holy power, if anyone thinks I'm moving, they've got another thing coming. Just making sure I'm hitting my spenders. Very, very intense period. Because it's just when all your damage is being done. So, let's have a look. Oh, stop it. Oh, I don't want that. Don't want that. So, let's have a look. Enemy damage taken. Ilginoth. There we go. King of Burst. As we were, I suppose, in WoD. That was my big fear when we were doing Legion Alpha, that we didn't seem to have a niche, but we're sort of okay at the moment. Ah, yes. Well, this is the thing. If you have to re-roll, indeed. Because it's all right, Blizzard talking about the catch-up mechanics and stuff like that with, you know, artifact knowledge someone's pulled. But ultimately, if you never had that alt in the first place, like I've got alts at the moment where I'm getting my artifact power, and I'm not really doing much on them, but they're keeping pace with the artifact knowledge. So I never would, but let's say I did re-roll to them, it'd sort of be okay. But if you re-roll into something that you weren't working on from the start, you're buggered. Utterly buggered. I mean, I know they're going to allow us in 7.1.5 to just buy... aren't we finished? Oh. To get 15 artifact knowledge levels, as long as we've got the order resources for them. But yeah, it's not a... It's quite good in a way, some of these mechanics, but it's not very friendly to re-rollers or alts. And this was, I think, one of the main problems in TBC. The main problem with, like, attunement quests, say. Because you had, for raids there, you had attunement quests. Which was a problem if you were re-rolling. This is the same thing, I think. I don't think so. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It will. The 15k thing will... Who's done that? Will never allow you to catch up, really. It will just allow you to not start from as far back. Because apart from anything else, once you've got a character to level cap, even if you don't bother spending your order resources on the, you know, order hall upgrades, which to begin with you won't need to, because how much does it cost? It's 500 each one, isn't it? So that's 7.5. I suppose you've got enough to get all 15 straight away for 7,500. And it might be by then that you get a new artifact knowledge level every day. So actually, you could catch up. Not too bad. Is it down to 2 days at the moment? Does anyone know? Like if you ding a character now, what's the time period between being able to get artifact knowledge? Is it 2 days or is it still 3? I'm not sure. There you go. Gnome Slayer, yes. 2. So there we go. So by that time, it might be down to 1 day. It might, you know, it might not be that bad. But you've still got to go and get the artifact power. It doesn't matter how many artifact knowledge levels you've got. You've still actually got to get the artifact power, haven't you, to upgrade the weapon? Yeah, well, that's the same. I've got a number of... And I've got to do my hunter still as well. I need to spend time doing my hunter. But I've not had time today. I've got a visitor coming around tomorrow as well as a couple of videos to do as well. I do want to do it before the anniversary event wears out. I can't remember when that is. I might as well use the experience gain there. Especially as we don't even have to do all the zones now. Because World Quest can be activated as long as it's done on your character. So that's quite good as well. Trial of Valor, I don't know. It's really weird because at the mythic level at least, it's hard for me to judge on heroic because although Helya was a big... It's like when we did it on heroic, we completely arsed up Odin, but we still killed it. There was a bit of a cock up on the first pull of Guam, partly me, and we wiped on that at the end. But then we killed it the second pull. And then Helya took several pulls. It actually took us a while to do Helya. But I can't remember how I've got Might on. I'm sure it'll be fine. For Mythic, I'm not so sure. Because I think you've got Odin. Odin is really nice, tough Mythic boss. That's, you know, no arguments there. Guam also seems very tough. The extra Mythic mechanic, actually. It looks on paper like it's just an extra little thing. But in actual fact, it does make the fight a lot more difficult. A lot more difficult. But then, if you look at like the guilds, like we've only now got 3 guilds that have killed it without being banned. I just think it's going to be a case, if you kill Odin whenever, you kill Guam a bit later. And then you're going to be stuck on Helya for ages. Unless they nerf her. I just think, you know, we're going to just be stuck on Helya for a long time. So I don't think the ramp up in difficulty is very good. You know, it might be like a week to do Odin, maybe a week to do Guam, and then like 2 months to do Helya won't be very good. It's good that it's difficult though, because a lot of people are expecting it not to be difficult. Get my Shield of Vengeance going. But, oh, can't see the damage. I've still got it set to Il'gynoth. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Hang on. So, no, I don't think they've got the ramp up in difficulty right. But at least it's not a pushover raid, which is what you might reasonably have thought it would be. Where's that dragon coming at you? Are people even switching to it? Few are. Yeah, that's the thing. Guam. I tell you, the problem we've got essentially is. So you get. I had this like in one of the pulls. So you get the debuff and it's just before breath. So you run over to the person who needs to dispel you, but then they run to their place in the breath instead. So then what you do is and so then that goes badly wrong. So then you go, okay, we'll change the strategy a little bit. So if it's just before a breath, instead of going to that person, assume that that person is going to go to their place in the breath. So you go to their place in the breath and get yourself dispelled really quickly. But the problem is, what if some players are quicker than others to get to their position in the breath? You can end up getting the wrong debuff on you, or getting someone else getting the wrong debuff on them. And of course, if you've got that wrong debuff on you when he does breathe, you're buggered. The whole thing's scrapped, because you don't really want people dying. So I think it actually does make it a lot more difficult, I have to say. Ah, rubbish. The gnome beat me. Christ. Yeah, because the thing about it is that breath debuff is you've got to have it dispelled on someone with the appropriate colour, to avoid someone getting the wrong colour just before their breath, or too many people with one colour and not enough of another. Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it, Dragons? It's like at any other time in the fight, if it was just happening nowhere near a breath, it would be trivial. It would be completely trivial. It's the fact that it can happen, and does happen, just before a breath, literally just before a breath. That's what makes it really challenging. And it's one of those really awkward situations where it's personal responsibility. Hang on a minute, someone's pulled. No, versatility is not our worst stat. None of them are our... like, mastery is most consistently the least useful stat. At the moment, mastery is my best stat, and that's including strength. Just because I actually have a lot more than I used to. What have I got now? Can't find it. I've got 7.3% mastery for damage, which is not bad, actually. I used to have about 2. I mean, the thing about versatility is people don't like it because it's boring, because it doesn't do anything. But the good thing about it is it just does what it does. It just gives you a flat damage increase and a flat damage taken reduction on every... that works, you know, equally well on every fight, every type of fight. You know, cleave, AoE, single target, whatever. But in terms of how it's simming, yeah, for me it is simming to be my best stat by some distance, even though I've now got more than I did a couple of weeks ago. It's Simcraft that tells you what stats. If you sim yourself with, you enable in the options. You need to enable like stat and stat weights, and then it'll tell you what your stat weights are at the end of it all. I don't know where I'll finish up on Guam. Obviously, at the moment, I'm doing very well on Guam, except for that one time when I died because I didn't get debuffed. Because, of course, everyone else is dying, so I've got the Retribution passive proccing all the time. The Q&A... well, this is a discussion, really, more than a Q&A, but I can answer questions. This is it in progress. It's done as a stream because my guild is doing like heroic and I need legendaries. Well, I don't need legendaries. That's a bit cheeky because I've got 2 decent ones. But I would quite like other ones. But I would anticipate would be okay on Guam. I mean, one good thing is, like, we can chase him around on the charge even if we want to, if we're sure we're not going to need our cheat death elsewhere. If you're trying to look for me, if you're trying to find me on the Armory, you need to look me up on the Maelstrom EU. Make sure it's on EU forum, not US forum or anything like that. Right, hold on. Who should I Who's going to haul? Right. They're going to haul like a bastard, so I'll put it on them. So will they. Should I try it on the new Death Knight? I'm going to try the new Death Knight out. He just joined our guild. Yeah, I mean, you've got Bop. We can have... or just a normal bubble. I've got the braces as well, so I can let that proc. And then, of course, you've got the advantage that that's a shield. And if you can get it to burst the shield, then that's extra damage. Oh yeah, it's heroic. We do it differently, don't we? I can almost not remember how to do it on heroic. No, I don't like getting the dream on heroic though. Right, I'm going to stand near the person doing blades to pop me shield. The number of times I had to explain to people when I first started, not in this guild, with my other guild, that I deliberately stand in front of blade, or in the way of blades to pop my shield, because they just think you're bad. But it's like, no, you're doing it for damage. Yeah, I'm not sure we're fully... We've only had a few pulls on him so far, like half a dozen. I'm not sure we're dead set on exactly what we're doing after the charge. I think we're just trying to have him naturally appear where he finishes up, which sort of makes sense, and then moving the range to the middle. But I don't think that's absolutely set in stone yet. We're just trying stuff. I suppose I should kill out now. Be a good little boy. No bugger else is soaking it. Yeah, heroics. I mean, heroics different, Matt. You just have to make sure everyone gets in the breath, really, and that you split it up into groups so that you haven't got like loads of people in one and not so many in another, for example. Really, all you need. That's the problem. I mean, Odin and Guam both are relatively straightforward on heroic, and very much, or should we say, a lot more complex on mythic. I mean, Odin was surprisingly so. I think it's just all the extra like balls of light, the holy stuff that we just call popcorn in our guild. So to the point where I've completely forgotten what it should be called. The intro. What do you not like about the intro? I am going to have an intro. Someone did put a comment, actually, that they want me to lose the intro and the outro. I'm not sure about the outro, because if you don't like that, you can just stop watching at the end. In terms of the intro, like, when I make design changes to my channel, that's always when I have time, which is between terms, because I'm a teacher. So, like, times like now I'm really busy. I can't really be doing things like that. But in 3 weeks, I get Christmas off. A couple of weeks. So I have time to make changes there. Hey up. But it depends what you want changing about them. Because I'm going to have one. The change is not going to be to not have them. Oh, quick. Use Crusade again. Come out my dream, fool. Oh, I failed to take advantage of that. Never mind. No legendaries. Boo-hoo. But I am going to do a subscriber report tomorrow as well, so we can discuss the intro and that. Or not discuss, because it's not live, but I can mention it, and then you can put comments on. Let's have a look. Where have we got? Questions. I don't have the hidden appearance. I'm not interested in that hidden appearance. The only appearance I want is the one you get from completing all the traits. Nope. I don't think I've even done my second... I can't see now, can I? I don't think I've done my secondary stats. Secondary skills, sorry. So I haven't done much fishing. Oh, who's done that? Right, that's that one done. I think that's it. No problem, Azith. But yeah, in terms of hidden artifact, it would have to be someone from the chat that helps you out with that, because I would probably get it at some point, but I am not in the slightest bit interested in getting a hidden any of the hidden artifacts. Even though I will eventually just get them, I won't use them. I just want that one, the one that gets when you get all the traits. So I've got to put 2 more points into that, and then I get the one that I actually would intend to use. Oh, you mean you've only got like 400 skill in fishing? Oh, you lazy bugger. Oh no, I do get my fishing skill up at least each expansion. I just don't think I've done it in this expansion. Where are we? I don't. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Fishing 702. So I haven't done any fishing in Legion really. I will do at some point. Actually, what are my others like? Just randomly click down there because I can't see where I'm actually going. Cooking. I ain't done much cooking either. That's because I haven't really. Like, I'm not 100% sure with the cooking recipes. There's some that's supposed to be random drops off Suramar, but I haven't got them. Like the surf and turf thing, I think. So I've only got so... And I keep giving Nomi my stuff, but he keeps burning it. So I don't actually have anything really that I want to make. Because the main food I use now, like I've got stupid amounts of this Ashari salad, which I now don't use. I use fish brawl now. Am I going to do other class guides in the future? I don't know. Like, I don't play other ones enough. Like, I did a Demon Hunter one, Havoc Demon Hunter, for Legion, because that was going to be my split raid out, which it was. So I did one for that, because obviously I tested that to a reasonable level in Alpha and Beta. But in this guild now we don't do split raid, so there's no need for a split raid out. So I probably won't add to it. And again, I don't find I have time. Like, by this time in Walls of Draenor, I had loads of alts at level cap because I used them for trade. But every time, like today, I wanted to go into the Hunter to level my Hunter up. It's only about level 103, and it's my Scribe and Jewel Crafter. But then you think, well, I need to get artifact power. I need to do those shit Kiritor quests, of which I still need 2. And it still keeps telling me that's the only one left. I'm not doing it. Well, I'm going to do the dungeon at some point. Zeal or Fires of Justice? You have to sim yourself. For me, it's Zeal. But it depends on your gear. So you have to sim it for yourself. Simcraft now doesn't have as many options as it used to. So I'm not entirely sure how to sim yourself for... Hold on. Stop running. Stop running. Food. Unless it happens to be in here. I don't think it is. No, that's just your equipment. Artifacts, spec, talents, professions. So there's nothing in here for it. And in Simcraft itself, which I can't open. Well, I've got it open, but I can't show you here. Because this is just streaming the game and that's it. I'm not entirely sure how to swap in different foods, which is a little annoying. All I would say, though, is that for raiding purposes, fish brawl, like if we have a look here, that's the pepper breath. Where's it gone? Where is it? Oh no, my food ran out. I wasn't paying attention. Oh guys, you let me my food run out. Right, let's go back to a fight where I probably had it. Actually, I may have died and not eaten. Oh, this is going to be embarrassing. Does it go right back to Elarith? No, okay. It turns out I didn't have any bloody food for all that raid. But the food I use is fish brawl, which does about 1% of my damage. Now, 400, or what is it? Is it 400 or 375? I can't remember. Of any secondary stat, even your best one, is not going to really amount to 1% of your damage. If you import it from... Isn't the problem with Battle.net, though, importing it from that? Because that's why I updated the Simcraft as well. That it doesn't copy your artifact data across properly, or have they improved that now? Spiked counterweight is a perennial issue that keeps coming up. And I think the reason was that the Ask Mr. Robot simulator, for whatever reason, seemed to have it simming quite highly. And Simulation Craft doesn't. Which reminds me, I still need to go back and check the Ask Mr. Robot. Yeah, Fish Brawl is the best one to use. That will do the most damage, really. Even on single target. You know, so it's a case of using that. I mean, that's the easy one. But if you are going to use a stat food, just use whichever one is best for your stat weights. It doesn't really matter how much damage it does. All you actually need to know is which one it does most damage. The fish, yeah, where is it? Because there's different types. The Fish Brawl Special is the good one, I think. I hope it is anyway. But yeah, if you look on, when you look on my damage, I can't unfortunately show you because I'd obviously died or something and didn't have it. Or maybe I just didn't eat it to begin with, I don't know. Because I wasn't paying attention because I'm doing this. Let's go and use some of these. But I don't think we had anyone get a legendary in that run, did we? That's unusual. We usually get someone. Oh well. Yeah, I actually have the Airsoft trinket now. Where did I get it from? I got it from the chest, I think. But yeah, it's not... Certainly Simcraft is not showing it to be an upgrade for me. It's a shame. It's quite, you know... Like, you see all the bloody gear I've got. Just in case. Actually, I need to go through it. I've got 830 stuff there I can just see. I need to go through it again and delete a load of old stuff. Where is it? There we go. I've got an 880 Ursox Rending Paw. But it just doesn't sim as high as the stuff I've got. So, we'll leave it. You never know. They might improve it at some point. Yeah, if you're getting food according to cost, then yeah, you might need to get... actually, let's go to the garrison. I've got a bank there. Sorry, a thingy there. Keeley seems to prioritise 2 charges. It doesn't, does it? It doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't. I don't think it does. We'll check that as well while we're here. Go to a training dummy. Right, actually, since I was Alliance, I don't know my way around my garrison anymore. Where is stuff? This'll do. Right, so, okay, if we go by what Hakili suggests, let's just do that. So, 1... No, Blade of Justice, you see. It's still allowing me to have the second chart. It is prioritising Blade of Justice over... It's like prioritising Crusader Strike when you've got 2 charges, which it should, but then it's Blade of Justice. So, I don't know. Just check yours again, because yours shouldn't say anything different to mine. But you can just see on that one, it is definitely prioritising Blade of Justice above the second charge of Crusader Strike. So, it's on 2 charges. Bang. Oh, let's get that. It's only doing that because it's back to 2 charges, but then Blade of Justice before it tells me to use another charge. Board from Legion. I have 3 other characters at 110, but that's more not out of boredom, just because I need them for trades, and I need more for trade stuff as well. Anyway, oh, these bloody things. Nature's Call, I don't know. It doesn't sim well, certainly. It's one of those things. I think at the moment I'm still coining Scenarius, and I wouldn't be totally disappointed to get one just to try it out, but it doesn't sim well. So let's have a look. Where am I? So if I look up Fish Brawl. So yeah, it's costing like just under 30 gold on this server. So other ones I suppose would be cheaper. I mean, all you can do with as I say, you can only get the trinket. The only reason to sim trinkets you don't have is to decide whether you're going to coin on bosses or not, or to decide whether to bid on it when it drops in your raid on Master Loot. But there's only a few trinkets that are overwhelmingly good. and faulty count measure is one of them. Even the 851, I wouldn't even think of comparing this with anything else anymore because it's just not going to be. I mean, remember, with 7.1.5, there's going to be a legendary trinket potentially. I'm not sure how that's going to sim. Yeah, nature, it certainly doesn't sim very well at all. So I guess that's got something to do with the proc rate on it or something. Or maybe the random nature. It's a bit like Roll the Bones, isn't it, in terms of what you get. Except you don't control when you get to change it. Cephas. Alright. Well, Cephas gets better, at least, in 7.1.5. Although, unfortunately, as I say, that's a little while away. That's got to be coming out in January, you would think. Can't come out before. But at least you get haste with it as soon as that patch comes out. And you can get it from interrupting. Yeah, we can't have everything. It's 1 minute 15, isn't it? It won't really line up with anyone. I think it'll, you know, like Frost DKs will probably have a trick. They'll have to decide whether it's worth delaying their Pillar of Frost. Because obviously, for every 4 minutes the fight lasts, that will cost them potentially one whole Pillar of Frost. Well, I mean, this is the thing with Simcraft and trinkets, of course. If it's a model, it's like people... To begin with, the trinkets won't be modelled accurately because all the people doing Simcraft can go by is what it says in the tooltip. So what they need people to do who get it, and remember it's random who gets it, is they need... because what they should do is they should allow these trinkets, just like tier bonuses, to be available from vendors in PTR and beta. And then theory crafters could get hold of them, hit a training dummy for an hour, get lots of data, and then model them accurately in Simulation Craft. But Blizzard aren't doing that. I mean, from their point of view, they probably don't really like Simulation Craft. Because they're not hostile to it, it has to be said. But I think they don't particularly like the idea that people are able to accurately model things in game because it takes away the working it out for yourself aspect of the game. But what it means is the upshot is that when the stuff goes live, it won't be accurately modelled in Simcraft because no one's got these things yet, which means no one... And the same applies whenever they make a change to them. They need actual data to be able to model it. And that takes time. But I suspect it probably is modelled accurately now because Nature's Call has been out for a while. And as far as I know, it's not been changed. Actually, I ought to leave the garrison because someone complained about me being in my garrison when I did something before. Let's go to Suramar. We don't know. The thing is... With legendaries, the problem with them... Well, there's lots of problems with them. I think one of the main problems... There's no accents in my name, no, it's just Thete. Like, it's a Greek word. I'm not Greek, but it is a Greek word. It's a long story why I'm called Thete. Yeah. It starts in Dungeons and Dragons. The legendary system is... You've got some that are really powerful, but they can't just... Because what you might think is what they can do is... change it so that you balance the class overall. It's a bit like tier set bonuses. Some classes have much stronger tier set bonuses. No, I'm not going to talk later. Stop moaning. Some classes have tier set bonuses that are stronger than others, but all you do is just balance the whole class around it, which means it sucks if you don't do raiding because you won't have them, but you expect most serious players to have those set bonuses within a few weeks. But that's not the case with legendaries. Legendaries are totally random. So if you do have one that makes you too powerful, then yes, you've got to nerf that. You've got to nerf that particular legendary. They may do that with the belt. But at the same time, the way the belt works, I think there's no reason not to keep it the same. Oh yeah, the tier set, the tier 19 tin set, yeah. It is pretty awful, yeah. It's dreadful. But I'm not even thinking about it too much at the moment because I don't. Well, I can't actually tell because I can't get on the PTR. But I don't think they've made the tier 19 sets available on the PTR yet for testing. And until they do, that probably indicates that they're not really paying much attention to them. They certainly never allowed them or made them available during beta. But yeah, the actual tier 19 set bonuses are... They just act against the way you play the class. It's ridiculous. But yes, I'll probably start moaning more about the tier 19 sets if, like, let's say in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, there still hasn't been any movement on it or any discussion about it, or they haven't been introduced. I might have to start talking about them because at that point you start to think, well, they've already said that Nighthole's coming out. Actually, when did they say now? Was it mid to late January? So time will be ticking. Obviously, they're not going to do any major work over Christmas because they're allowed time off too, which means as soon as the new year starts, Nighthold is imminent. It's a tricky one given information because the problem is they can only spend so long on discussing anything with the community. But at the same time, it's difficult. Like, I made this point. In fact, the only response I got from them during the alpha was when I actually made the comment that we can't give feedback on... I should find the post. It's quite funny in a way. But I was making the point that we can't really provide valuable feedback if we don't know what their design philosophy is. It's all right us saying, well, this ability is a load of shit, or this ability is really good, but if we don't know what their intentions are with it, we can't really say anything definite. So then they gave me a huge response, a bit of a tirade, which basically shut the fuck up. But it is tricky, obviously. Yeah, they can't be. You can't have them communicating all day long because they've got their actual job of development to do. And all community managers can really do is pass stuff on. They can't really engage themselves because they're not developers. Yeah, stop saying class fantasy. It doesn't trigger me as much as it used to, but because they haven't used it as an excuse. The only reason it doesn't trigger me as much as it used to is because they haven't used it as an excuse for a while, or I haven't seen them anyway. Hang on a minute. I should go somewhere else, really. Let's go and do some world quests, because otherwise Fat Boss might have a go for me for stealing their laps around Dalaran theme. Let's see. There'll be some world quests with some artifact power. Where? Oh, let's go there. Where's that? Eladari stand near. But now I should be very interested to see. I am hoping that sometime in the next week they're going to post some design philosophies on other specs. What's that? They'd better do anyway. As I say, they've already done it for a few. No one's mentioned as well, by the way. Should we talk about... Hi, Yuvil. Should we talk about the... what's it called now? The Hand of Light? The new ability that's coming in 7.1.4? No, there isn't an accent. Are you looking on the EU Armory? And the other thing, actually, I can't show you here because I'm just streaming in game. I looked myself up in the Armory the other day and didn't find myself. Now, the reason for that is that... I don't know. Actually, no, I don't know the reason for that. The best way to find me is to go onto WoW Progress and find me there, and then click on the Armory link from that. Or, yeah, someone else has posted it there. Thank you very much. No, because actually, now that you say it, I did that a couple of days ago. Tried to look myself up in the Armory. I forgot. I can't remember why now. But for whatever reason, I did. I think it's because I was on my laptop. And it's just quicker to look something up. And it still got me as being on Laughing Skull. Which, of course, if you click on it, I'm not there. Because I'm not on Laughing Skull anymore. Well, hang on. Where am I going? Oh, there's one there. Oh, we'll do that one first. But Yeah, what do people think about the Hand of Light, the new talent that's going to replace Seal of Light, whereby, for those who don't know yet, in 7.1.5, it's a bit like the Hand of Light that used to exist in Alpha, which I quite liked. I was disappointed when they got rid of it. But it's changed. So what it'll do is you place this on the target. I've completely forgotten now what the cooldown or anything is. But what it means is, while it's oh, it's when you use judgment, isn't it? So whenever you judge something, it's like a debuff on the target, and anyone who hits it gets a small amount of healing back from it. It'll work for up to 40 whacks, and each individual person can only get 1 heal per second. And it lasts as long as it takes for that target to be hit 40 times. Judgment of Light, is it called now? Sorry, yeah. Okay. But what do people think of that? It replaces, as I say, it replaces... Stop going to the PvP silence. It replaces Seal of Light, so it would be in competition with Cavalier and Divine Intervention. Although, remember, Divine Intervention is being nerfed. Quite a lot, as well. Heavily nerfed. Is it? Shows you how much I play prot, doesn't it? Hang on. Is it exactly the same as for prot? The best trick is for Ret Paladin. Dependent upon item level, faulty countermeasure, and like is it the Arcana Crystal, which you can't even get at the moment, of course, because with the gym isn't up. Eye of Command you have to be wary of. It sims very highly on a patchwork sim. Where is it? Where is it? What's it called if prot's already got it? Oh no, I'm using abilities like I'm Ret. Level 90. Oh, that was the one I've actually got. No wonder I couldn't see it. I've actually got the bloody talent. No, I don't even know what talents I pick. Yes, it is. It's exactly the same, isn't it? Is it exactly? Because the next... To heal the attacker. So yeah, as long as the wording's slightly different, but I think it's exactly the same. As far as I remember anyway, as I say, I can't check on thingy. Judgment of Light. But well, it certainly at least gives you a better choice of things, because Seal of Light was never taken because it's just crap. If you need better movement, you take Cavalier. And if you don't, then you take Divine Intervention. Let's change back to Ret before I confuse people. What am I supposed to do on this? Eggs. We want eggs. I mean, the thing is, in like you've got away without good movement on a lot of fights so far, I think. In Nighthold, there are some boss fights where it's going to be quite important. So there'll be some fights anyway where Divine Intervention won't be used as much as Cavalier anyway, I think. Right, where am I off next? Not there. There. Yes, Simcraft will be pretty well up to date. Certainly in terms of the APL it will be, yes. It's always a good place to go. You've got the top theory crafters working on that. Fire and Zeal, it depends on yourself. Like if I sim myself with Fire and Zeal, Zeal does significantly more damage even on a single target. So I just use it for everything. But it depends on your gear, and it's not even a particular like stat that goes above a certain value and then it switches. You just have to keep simming yourself with like patchwork fight to take it for single target. It's obviously better like during Crusade generally because you just don't get to use your Crusader Strike that much. Blade of Justice comes off cooldown so often. And especially when you're using Blade of Wrath, you actually don't really want Blade of Justice to be, shall we say, available for too long. Because remember, your auto attacks can proc a new one, but if it's already off cooldown, then you don't get the benefit. So you want to keep it on, you'd want to keep it cooling down, I suppose, as much as possible. Which way am I going? I don't know where I'm going. It could well be because of G-Bomb, yes. Like, do you do it with other Ret Paladins? When you do these dungeons? It might be that they've got an older version that they haven't updated as well, yes. Right, where am I going? It may be then, as Debraz has said, that it's sorry, no, who said? Phoenix, that they've got an older version. But yes, it's probably the Greater Blessing of Might that is making the difference. It's not really Skarda's fault. It's that it's not a helpful ability. Hang on, this isn't right. It must be above rather than below. Well, when you're posting your little EP logs, are you doing total damage or on specific encounters within the dungeon? Because obviously, if you're doing total damage and they were doing some questing before the dungeon and they didn't reset it, then they're going to have done some extra damage. But at the same time, it is very likely to be a Greater Blessing of Might issue, I strongly suspect. I have no idea where I'm going. Yes, I have heard. I tried Details one time, but it wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't seeing any great benefit in it. Although it offered more information. Most of the information it offers, like Skarda gives me all the information I need on a very casual basis. And anything extra I can use logs for at a later point. Ooh. Right, that warrior, like, I'm trying to be considerate here, but that warrior needs to move out the way. He's tagged it. What's the point in him dying? I don't understand it. When they're not tanking the mob, you melee, just hit it, and then just move out the way. But I may have to reinvestigate Details myself. If it works better for that. Because at the same time, my damage meter, as I say, logs are the main place to get my information from anyway. This is just like a quick, instant piece of data. Nothing else here. We'll also have to see if they end up nerfing Crusade as well. Because obviously, like, the only thing we know, obviously they've made some changes in PTR already. In terms of what changes they're likely to make, they've already said they don't want any talents being the clear choice. Well, if we look at this, we've got Final Verdict clear choice in all situations. At the moment, for me, Zeal is, but, you know, that is more of a mix. That's fine. We don't care about that. This is more of a mix, to be fair, so that's not too bad. But here, you would use Eye for an Iron Raids. Here, between that, you can see why they've got rid of Seal Eye. And in here, you've got Crusade. You're just always going to use Crusade. I mean, Holy Wrath, the only place Holy Wrath is useful is PvP, and they've nerfed it for that. Where am I going? I need another zone. Yeah. Yeah, alright, let's go there. Yeah, they might not change. I don't know what they're going to do with Crusade. Like, yeah, as you note, they tried changing the way it works, and that was shot down quite violently, so they changed that back. They could nerf the actual amount of damage it does. But the thing is, like, Crusade might not be excessively strong, let's say if you don't have something like... There's some legendaries that obviously work better with it, like if you've got the cloak or the ring. I suppose the shoulders when that patch comes out. But if you don't have them, it might not be all that strong, and that's again another problem with legendaries. Yes, well, that's where you go. I was actually in a dungeon group in the last week where I was with a Ret who did put Greater Blessings of Might around. I was quite pleasantly surprised. It's the first time it's ever happened without it being a Ret from my own guild. And then it turns out there was someone who watched my channels. Which is quite good. Is the legendary belt change still a point? What do you mean a point? No, they haven't removed it, as far as I know. I can't check anything in PTR at the moment, personally, because I can't get in. But yeah, I've not seen it on any change logs or anything. Ah, well, yeah, it may well be insanely strong. It may or may not, who knows. They can always tone it down a bit. I mean, it's like Blizzard was saying, there are some changes that if something's too strong or too weak, it's just a numbers issue. They can just tweak numbers. And the legendary belt is just something they can just change numbers for. If it turns out to be too strong. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any sims with it or anything. I tend not to offer advice in dungeons anymore because, you know, people don't always take it well. You're asking for trouble. Just leave them to it. I think the only type of advice you get away with when it's advice on ways to actually deal with the events in the dungeon rather than class specific. Hang on, I don't know where I'm going. Again, I don't know where any of these things are. I don't recognise the name of that. Oh, I know what it is. Oh, it's this bloody harpy. Oh. Quick. Is this it? Oh my god, we've got a huge PvP situation going on. This isn't it. Is it? Soon find out. No, it's not it. A load of horde there. I thought I was going to get chased down. Melisandre. Well, that's not Melisandre, is it? Oh, right, okay. It's dead. Should I go prot for this? I don't know. We'll give it a go as Ret. No, don't start a new character. There's no need anymore. Like if you get a legendary, it doesn't reduce your chance of getting another legendary. They've now got the bad luck protection on everything. they did have a cap on 4, so once you got to 4 legendaries, then it kicked in. There was never a problem with just having 2. Why is it telling me about a PvP one? Oh, hang on. I can see it on the map. Melisandre. Oh, there you are. Right, let's give it a go as Ret. Come on. Oh no, it's immune to stun. This is a bad sign. When they're immune to stun, that is always a bad sign. And when it starts beating the shit out of you, that is usually also a bad sign. I think I should have done this as prop. Soft cap. Yeah, the soft cap they've said is removed. They didn't even admit to it for a while. Apparently, I say, like, a lot of people are saying they denied it was a thing, but I didn't actually see that denial. You know, I'm not saying people are lying. Hello. But they have said that the soft cap now does exist, but it's no longer in the game. They removed it last week, they said. Right, I've still got both my cheat deaths intact, haven't I? Oh, someone's healing me, that's nice of them. Good, good. But yeah, it's I mean, my main concern with the PTR is that they're not making many changes on it at the moment for Ret. And, well, yeah, but I'd have to go somewhere to rest. Yeah, the main thing with Ret, they're not making changes to PTR Ret, really. And I'm just thinking now, there's 4 weeks before Christmas, and they're not going to do anything then. And then it's going to be getting ready to actually bring it out. So, you know, they're running out of time. So they might not make very major changes to it at all if they're not going to start in the next week or 2. I mean, I say there's certain things I follow, like in terms of forum discussions, others I don't. That one missed me by completely. But it is a problem, you know. I mean, Blizzard really shouldn't deny things. I can understand them if they don't want to admit to something, just not saying anything. They really shouldn't deny something and lie about it. Do I use Divine Storm or Mythic Ursoc? Oh yeah, when the ads are there, yeah, of course. It is like, if you look at my Divine Storm damage, so it's 155,000. Obviously, you know, there's the extra from the Judgment. 155,000, and then that's like 270,000 for that. So my Divine Storm does more than half the damage of Tempest's Verdict, so it is a DPS increase on 2 targets. As long as both those targets, even if they're not judged, actually, I think it still works out better to use it. I'm going to go to there. So yes, I do use Divine Storm on Mythic Ursoc when the ads are there. Where are we going? Right, let's have a look. Sorry, Boyardee. The fact that our best trinket is a caster trinket. Well, that's assuming it is. Well, I don't know what I think about it, because what they used to do in previous expansions, including right up until WoD, is they made it so that certain trinkets were like class specific. So they'd say so that because there was like empty drinking horn in that drops off mana off would have been really good for like enhancement shamans and stuff like that. So they made it so it was only usable by strength users. Now they're not doing that now. I think they actually announced that they made a conscious decision. They don't like putting too many restrictions on these things. But it is a problem when certainly a very, very good trinket, one that you would like to use, you can't even coin for and can't possibly get on personal loot. That is a problem, of course. Shut up. Okay. Right. Oh, you bugger. You only get crit versatility loot. Well, that's not too bad. But again, yeah, I mean, you have to sort of... I mean, you can only work with what you've got. Ultimately, it's all right, you know, asking what in theory is the best stuff. And it's useful to be generally aware of it so that you can make decisions with coining or bidding on stuff. But you can only use what you've got. And that can also affect your choice of talents and stuff like that as well. Right, let's have a look at it here. But I'd quite like some more versatility stuff at the moment. Very little of it dropping in the raids, or very little of it even on the loot table for raids. Like, there's one thing, I didn't actually get this off the boss, but it's drops off Il'gynoth. You got crit versatility shoulders. I got that from the chest in the end. Oh, thank you, Pink Floyd. Are you good? Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of, like, things I ought to do. I'm hoping that in 3 weeks' time, when I've got some time off work again, that I'll be in a position to do some more specific guides on, like, Trial of Valor for Rets. I'm now not hopeful that Mythic Helya will be dead, given how long it's taken guilds to kill her compared with, like, the other bosses. But we'll just have to see. See if we get at least into advanced stages. They do have a lot of work to do on the PTR, as far as I can tell. And again, the problem is, I don't know how much work they need to do because I can't get on. I don't know. Is it if anyone else? Has anyone else been able to get onto the PTR today, for example? Or is it just me? Ah, right. Okay. If you're simming something, using those stat weights and using pawn save to say, okay, this is an upgrade now, and then Simcraft tells you it's doing slightly lower, it may be, it's much more likely to do this with haste. It is possible that you're just below like a breakpoint of sorts. Now, the problem with breakpoints is, especially for haste, you can be just below a breakpoint. If you're just below a breakpoint, it will say that haste is higher priority than it really is. So you get something with haste, but let's say it's got loads of haste on it, and that throws you over. So sometimes you sort of have to know how close you are to those as well. I tend to just think it's not going to make a huge amount of difference either way. Use the start weights, use them for a week, then next week change it again. And if that means change another piece of gear, then do it. Just don't get rid of the pieces of gear. Like, if you have a piece of gear that's a high item level, just not showing up as an upgrade, keep it. Just keep it in your bank or bags or something. Heroic Odin. Right, well, let's have a think. Do you... So, okay. So, if we... RK711, this is 2. So, if you've got your damage meter showing, on Odin, are you... Is your DPS top during the Crusade period? In other words, by the end of Crusade, are you top DPS on whatever ad you're on? I assume you're on Herger, by the way, and not Himdall. You can only find the breakpoints really by doing graph plots. It's really not worth the effort. You want... Well, yeah. Yeah, so is your DPS... Does your DPS go to the top when you're on Herger? In your group? Like, obviously it'll dip down as soon as Crusade's finished. But at the end of Crusade, is it like, are you at the top of damage? I'm just trying to think out what it's likely to be. Yeah, 20 to 22%, the sort of one. Right, where am I going now? Oh no, that's in a dungeon. Should we sign up for that? Dark Art Thicket. So you hang on, where am I looking at? Typically near the top of meters. So if you're at the top of meters, so it's probably then travel between ads. What's your priority then? So let's say you don't get a rune mark on you or yourself. What do you do about killing the ads in the runes? Like, is Herger tanked near one of the runes? If those are questions to me, those last two, by the way, I play on the Maelstrom EU, and I have 32 artifact traits with another 25% to go to get to 33. Because what I'd be thinking is, if on Odin you're shrunk for damage, it's probably the phase 2, or, well, even phase 1, if you're moving between the rune ads. What I tend to do is, Herger is tanked on the yellow rune for us, personally. And that's one of the melee priority ads. So I cleave both of them when they're on for that. And then the other one we do is blue, and you quickly go to blue, kill that, and back again. So you don't spend much time moving. You want to minimise your movement time. And then the only other thing that can bug your DPS is not dodging the orbs properly. Although I can't even remember if that's even on Heroic anymore. Is that Heroic? Or is that just Mythic? I've completely forgotten. I'm sure it is on. Can't remember. She's tanked between the two. That might be where if you're comparing yourself with other people in other guilds, then that might be the reason why. Because that means you're having to take DPS off her completely to move to the ads. Whereas if she's tanked near one of the runes, then you can be cleaving still. And you've also got no movement between Herger and that rune. You've only got movement between that and the other rune that you need to DPS down. Right, let's see. Where should we go next? High Mountain, I suppose. Yep, let's go there. I do have some very specific advice for Mythic Odin now that I've done it actually for Ret. But I should probably wait a bit until, rather than just do it for one fight. I haven't even done like anything for Emerald Nightmare Mythic for Rets actually. I should do that, but in general I did do it for Heroic, and there's not actually that much extra to do for Mythic for Ret anyway. Oh god. It's Thunder Totem. But I would suggest your melee in general are going to benefit if you can tank her on one of the runes. Like I've got if you look on my channel, I've got the Mythic Odin kill up there, and we do much the same on Heroic as well, where she's tanked right next to the yellow rune but on whatever ring you want to tank her on. The yellow one's quite convenient, and it's far enough away from Himdall, who himself is tanked. He's tanked between two, but that's the ranged target. Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes it depends on the like assignments you've got. So Cenarius, for example, Mythic Cenarius, I was told to basically just stick to the boss at all times. Like, not run out and deal with ads. As a consequence, I ended up with rank 2 on that when we killed it the first time. But that was purely as a consequence of me doing that, where a lot of the Rets that had killed it were told to go and kill ads. Like, the Ret who's in the guild that I was in last has to go out and kill ads. So that completely knackers your DPS then. So it can be, you know, you have to be a little bit careful when you're judging your DPS according to other Rets and logs, because you might have a less or more favourable assignment or tactic, for example. Where's that? Oh, that's the crops one. That's a boring one, that one. So the way you do fights has a material effect on your damage. Also, I mean, like, it depends on how much you want to prioritise as well. Like on Mythic Odin, for example, if you look at the kill, like in phase 1, there are several times where I'm not doing my absolute best to DPS stuff for the simple reason that the stuff, if you do too much damage, you have to make sure they both die at the same time. So sometimes I'm deliberately easing off on DPS because I know that otherwise it's just going to cause trouble later on. And I'll let, you know, and I'm not bothered about my own personal DPS either. So I don't mind doing that and letting other people maximise theirs a bit more. Like Himdall, for example, just before phase 2, I moved off him completely for a few seconds when I got the shield debuff. Because he was in danger of dying a bit too quickly. Right, I'm supposed to get some crop. There's supposed to be some... What am I doing here? Oh, there we go. Oh, you beggar. The problem with these world quests, what I would like them to see done in the next expansion, is to make it so that, like here you see, like I'm going to get these crops, but someone else is getting there before me. To make it so that someone else's actions doesn't affect it. A bit like herbing nodes now, where for a few seconds afterwards, everyone else can use it as well. Because you can see there's not any. I actually don't have any. Because it's too busy. They've made a lot of improvements with like world content actually. But they haven't got rid of the main problem with it, which is that doing world content makes you hate the human race. Alright, crops. Oh, there's none around here either. Never mind. I might as well go and kill one of those then. Do you mean the one that gives you like 5% extra? Once I've got the 5% extra one, I'm quite likely to put some into my other artifacts actually. Because the other ones are not as don't give you as much of a DPS increase, of course. At the same time, it's still some... It's like one of those things, because for me personally, no one's ever going to ask me to tank or heal. So you could argue it's probably a waste for me to do anything other than just load it up on Ashbringer. I haven't decided yet. But I would quite like to at least get all the traits in the Holy one. And then maybe try... Because I haven't done any healing for ages. I might like to do some again for a bit. But... Oh, let's go over there. Yeah, it only gives 0.5 exactly. But then again, you can argue that if I spend the same amount of points on my Silver Hand, that gives me 0% extra DPS. The other thing to note is this for the traits, because of course each one is giving you extra stamina as well. That's actually making a material difference on these Trial of Valor fights, because there's some people being killed by mechanics that do a lot of damage, and there's some other people who are just living with, like, you know, a small amount of health left. And it could well just be based on the number of traits they've got, that some people have more stamina by virtue of the fact of having more traits on their weapon. Actually, I've forgotten where I'm going. That one. Oh, okay. Is that the Kobold Cave, I think? I mean, we had an issue on Odin. I don't think it affects us because I think everyone's got with very close to the same roughly number of artifact points. But there were some people who were dying to abilities. I don't mean dying because they were studying bad. They were just dying to things that do a lot of damage. And others sort of living with low health. And it can be just the difference between that extra stamina you've got. I mean, you could get that extra stamina, I suppose, by putting on gear that's not as great stats, but maybe much higher. Let's say you got, I mean, all right, let's have a look for a piece that seems to be lower than you'd ideally want. I don't know. Well, let's say a ring. So I've got 860 rings. So I've got access to an 885 ring. Now, the 885 ring will have significantly more stamina on it, or a bit more stamina. Now, let's say there's not much in it, but this one is just seeming a little bit better. I might, in that situation, put the other ring on so that I've got the extra stamina and not losing too much damage. The next three... Oh, yeah, the next... Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's coming in 7.2, isn't it? The extra traits on artifacts. I just hope it's an actual proper major trait again. Because if you look at our traits... Stop. This one is a proper major trait because... it does something special. This one is not, because it just adds a flat percentage to our abilities, the same as a minor trait does. And the same with Divine Tempers, which I can't see there. That just adds a flat... Well, it effectively does just add a flat thing. It sends it forwards as well. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Right, let's might people up. And say hello. Yep, the hunter's off. I hope we're not getting another one of these. I did a heroic earlier on where some gnome kept pulling stuff and the tank was nowhere near it. The tank got a bit lost, I think. He pulled the boss. I ended up having to tank the bloody boss. Yeah, so I hope whatever the golden trait is something that actually changes the way an ability works rather than just a boring flat percentage increase on it. Because, like, if I compare it to Havoc Demon Hunter, all three of their major traits do something interesting. No, running away with mobs. Or I'll pull everything. Oathbringer, Ashbringer. Oh. What do you mean Oathbringer? Am I missing something? What's Oathbringer? Why am I tanking? The tank's not dead. If you decide to tank, I mean, I was thinking of doing it. So, like, the reason my Truth Guard has some points on it is... Oh, do you mean Truth Guard? Do you mean the Prot Paladin artifact? Yeah, the reason mine has some points on it, just up to the first major trait, is because I was thinking of, like, tanking some dungeons. It turned out to be a stunningly bad idea, by the way. But yeah, I mean, you've got to bear in mind, if you just go to, like, one major trait, that's not costing you loads of artifact power. Especially at the, like, what artifact knowledge level are you at? You know, the actual, where is it? The artifact knowledge, like, I'm on 17 there. Because if you're on quite high on that, it's not going to take you long to get a few points in Truth Guard, is it? So you could always go to, like, the major trait at the top, which Prot Pal is particularly like doing, and then carry on saving up for you. Because you shouldn't... I mean, if you think about it, if you've got high artifact knowledge, you know, you can get enough to go all the way around your Ashbringer in one go. No, it don't cost much. I can't remember what I've got. I can't remember now. What have I got? 15. I hate this boss, always jumping around. It's particularly annoying when he jumps away from my Wake of Ashes. Stand still and be clobbered. Oh no, I want to stand in that, don't I? Drop my shield. Come on, consume my shield. What's up with you? Absolute rubbish. I'm standing in fire, not taking damage. Outrageous. Shattered Ashbringer, yeah, I don't like that either. Like, it's taken 12 years to get hold of the Ashbringer. Why would I want to break it? The solo challenge, yeah, I mean, it's... I didn't do the green fire one on the Warlock, because I never really like Warlocks. Although I had one. But that was reputed to be quite difficult to begin with. And then other people were able to get it because, you know, as they got better gear. I suspect it'll be the same sort of thing. I strongly suspect it'll be the sort of thing where... Oh, we're trying to bypass that. It'll be... The first few people who get it will have probably a challenge on their hands. Then it'll still remain... We've pulled it anyway. I don't think it was me that pulled it. Then the next few people, it'll depend as you get better gear. And then probably by 7.3, which is when we go to Argus, I take it, even LFR gear will be good enough for most people to muscle the way through it. And that probably sounds reasonable to me. That's how I'd have done it. No, I don't taunt bosses, it's rude. I don't like it if I'm tanking someone randomly taunts off me. I know. Oh, I mean, I had to tank a boss in a heroic I did earlier. It's not that I can't do it. It's just rude. It's rude to the tank. Haste cap. There isn't a haste cap. There are a series of points at which haste becomes more or less useful to you, which the main break point is somewhere between 20 and 22%, but I don't worry about it at all. You can see here I've got just under 24%. All I do is just regularly sim myself, use the start weights to work out if most gear, not including relics or trinkets, is an upgrade, and I just go with that. And I do that each week, and it's all fine. And it doesn't change very much either. It's not like each week when I sim myself that I suddenly find... Oh, I don't want to stand in that. Go on, do some more crap for me. I've got a shield to consume here. Oh, you beggars. It's not like... Oh, good. That I find myself with having to change my gear all the time. I don't. It's still pretty much the same. So what I always say with haste, get enough haste that you're comfortable with it, and then just go sim yourself your stat weights and go with that. That's just the best thing about it. There's no point in worrying about like if something is 1% more DPS or something like that anyway, because we lose more than 1 DPS with mistakes. You know, 1 DPS is for a very small number of players in the world. 1% that is. 1 DPS is for no players in the world. Yeah, so ideally what you would want is versatility in haste gear. Does it actually even exist? Actually, I did get a cloak recently that has haste and versatility on it. Yeah, Cape of the Trinity. Forgotten where I've got it from, actually. Can't remember where it drops. Until, of course, I get the legendary cloak, which ought to drop off one of these bosses, because I'm well overdue now for another legendary. I'm not going to claim that I ram it loads and loads. I'm actually just doing that tongue-in-cheek. I don't do loads and loads of content, but it'd be quite nice to get another one. And it almost doesn't matter what it is within reason, because even if it's no good now, at least I've got it for 7.1.5. Emerald Nightmare doesn't have much, so yeah, it might be Trial of Valor. I can't remember. Yeah, it might be that then. There's, of course, the Trash Cloak. The gnome in our guild keeps trying to persuade everyone. And, you know, I'd be up for it. Oh, wait, I sort of would. Actually, like, you could farm the trash in theory, because the cloak has a pretty good drop rate. So you could keep farming it until everyone's got, or everyone that wants it, and I certainly would, the 895 with a socket on it. But the problem is when you're farming trash like that, that's time you could be spent getting artifact power as well. Trinkets. What about trinkets? Have I missed something? Talked a little bit about trinkets before. Basically, I mean, sim what you've got in terms of if you can't decide with the ones you've got. And in terms of ones to go for, like faulty countermeasure, Arcano Trinket is really high. The one that drops off with a gym, if that's what it's called. I can't remember now. But obviously you can't farm that because it's a world boss. It's not even up at the moment. Eye of Command, have to be careful of. It sims high, but that's because the sims are done on patchwork fights, and that means you're not changing target. Most fights you change target, and then Eye of Command drops in value. I'm not saying it's useless, but it does. It depends how long you're on any particular target for. Like Odin, for example, it wouldn't be that great because you change target a lot. Guam, it would be pretty good because you never change target. Memento is better, apparently, I am informed by people in my guild who have it, than it sims, because in Simcraft it's like proccing off stuff you're doing, but in reality I'm told it also procs off other people in your group taking damage, which means it procs more often than Simcraft suggests it will. So that can be worth trying. Yeah, I have command on Guam, I imagine would be fairly handy to have. Same as Ursok. Nathendra potentially, assuming you're not out for rot for too long, but that's a bit of a dodgy one. Cenarius and Xavius maybe as well, depends on how you do it. Hang on, disorientated, where am I going? There. Well, where's this legendary I should be getting? This is not satisfactory. Ruby, yeah, I suppose if you can get Ruby. But again, like, realistically, how do you get Ruby? You need a caster in your group, don't you? Who then themselves doesn't want it. It's really dodgy to get the Ruby. Like, druids at least can switch their loot spec to Boomkin. We don't have. That's why we should have Shockadin. If they're going to persist with this policy of caster trinkets being good for us. So I don't even really... Oh dear, I should cleanse him. I don't even really spend any time thinking about the caster trinket because... Or any of the caster trinkets because it's not realistic to get them. I mean, you might, but I don't expect to. I don't even really do Karazhan, which makes it even more challenging to get it. This will be a while before this goes up on YouTube by the looks of it as well, because I'm going to have to edit this one actually. We've been going on for 2.5 hours. No, hang on, have we? Oh no, 2 hours. No, I ain't got me run. Oh, I have. It's up, it's up, it's up. Oh, I'll just stand on it. Oh, I didn't even blow my shield up. Load of rubbish. What have we got? He's not going to want that, is he? No, he's better geared than that. There we go. Yeah, well, there are going to be there are AoE fights now, and there are going to be as well in Nighthold. It's worth gathering up different trinkets, of course. I mean, I have trinkets in the bank that I'll keep just in case. Kobold nest, right? That's down here, isn't it? Somewhere. That wasn't the daily heroic, no. That was specifically for a world quest in there. Did my daily heroic earlier. So it was for that. Which is worth the same amount as doing the daily heroic. Well, the add-on pawn is not something to be trusted or mistrusted. All it does, like, I'll show you an example. So if I have the ring, which has got crit haste on it, as well as the versatility gemstone. All it does, I feed the stat weights. Don't trust the stat weights it comes with, by the way. You have to put your own in. But if all it does is times each stat by the stat weight you input into it and works out a DPS value. So all it's doing is multiplying each of the stats on it by the stat weight that you fed into it. It doesn't do anything other than that. Ravaged Seed Pod, my opinion of it is if I have one, which I did actually get one at 850, I disenchant it. I don't need the haste for a start, and the effect itself, even in dungeons, for me, was not looking very good. But it depends, like, you know, different trinkets will be better or worse for other people. But it's not. Most of the Emerald Nightmare trinkets are not really very good. The only one that was even close to... Well, in terms of the ones that is intended for us, shall we say, obviously Plague Hive is decent. Yeah, if you're looking on my YouTube thing, I have an add-ons playlist, and I've got porn in there showing you how to put your stat weights in. Actually, the Simcraft guide I have in the Raidcraft playlist. Maybe I should put that in the add-ons one instead. I can't actually see the bar for this. Still can't see it. Never mind. I'll just keep clicking on things until it says I'm done. But everything in Legion is very personal. It sort of was before. It's just that it didn't vary a lot. Ooh, what's this? Is that a rare? That'll be worth a lot. Is this thing killing me? How come it didn't have a health bar? How come these don't have health bars? What's going on? Warlock pets not having health bars. That's a bit of a... I don't know much about PvP, but that's a bit of a fiddle, isn't it? Is he actually trying to kill me? Oh no, it's his follower. His champion. Cheeky beggar. Right, okay. I mean, faulty countermeasure, I use that in dungeons as well because I use Crusade quite a bit. You have to make sure that you're using Crusade on trash as well as bosses, otherwise it's not as useful. Because, of course, you get, you know, you're not really getting very much benefit other than a bit of crit from faulty countermeasure if you're not using it. And I tend to work in windows. I don't use it necessarily on cooldown, but I think to myself, okay, the next 3 trash packs, if one of the first 2 becomes problematic, let's say we pull 2 packs at once or something, shit hits the fan, then I'll use it then. If not, I'll use it on the 3rd. And I sort of work on that sort of basis so that I'm using it a decent amount of times to get the benefit. But if I wasn't going to do that, then yes, another trinket would be better.
I have many lucky tools you like.
Yeah, you don't use 2 unused trinkets, really. I mean, the interesting thing will be if the legendary trinket, which is an unused trinket, sims well, that we might have to abandon faulty countermeasure, so it depends on how effective that is. Right, what trinkets have I got? See, I've got a memento. As I say, Simcraft will show it not being effective enough to use, but if it procs more often than Simcraft suggests use, hard to say. What have I got? I don't think I've got a Ravaged Seed Pod. I think I had a low level one, like an 850, which I disenchanted. Can I use that yet? No. And then in my bags, what have I got? Oh, no, I do. Oh, there it is, look. I can't actually see the bloody thing. Hold on, let me just move the chat. Panel. Oh, no, come here. Move that there. Doesn't matter if it's in the middle of my screen. I've lost it again. So it's just an 851. But stat stick from Guam. So let's have a look what we're on about there. I know there is a trinket from him. No, not for us. What stat stick from? Do you not mean Odin? I have that one. Which one do you mean from? Let's just. That's an agility one. I think you might mean the one from Odin. Which, as I say, is the one I. Oh dear. Is the one I have. I have a strength versatility one. Which I coined. Which is very nice, 880. But yeah, Guam's for the agility users. I don't think Helia drops anything amazing for us, really, does she? I mean, that's got mastery on it. That's got... It's haste versatility, actually, not bad. Except I have the legendary braces, so at the moment, not great for me, but it would be otherwise. Haste, again, mastery, there. So a lot of the stuff in here, Odin drops like the best of it. He's got a holy relic. You know, that's decent. Actually, no, that's not the same one as I've got. But a haste versatility one's always useful. Haste versatility chest. You know, that's not so great. And crit haste ring, which I also have, but an 860 version. And that as well. So everything apart from the legs is actually really well itemized for us off Odin. Well, yeah, I say well itemized, assuming you don't get mastery on that yet. Or potentially haste, depending on how much haste you've got. Guam, not so much of him. He's got a fire relic, which, you know, and the Templar's Verdict one, that's the second best relic to get. So if that's a decent item level, then that's good. And that's all right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with crit versatility, just not as good as haste versatility. Or I don't think it is anyway. It depends. But again, mastery on the gloves. Crit haste boots, decent. Hidden Satyr, certainly. Neck enchant, yeah. Hidden Satyr. You have to get used to it, though. The problem with it is it keeps making... Especially in dungeons, you keep thinking you've pulled something you haven't. Because you see red bolts flying over your shoulder. But that's the Hidden Satyr effect. So yeah, neck enchant, really simple. In fact, I've had this neck for ages. I haven't had to enchant gear very much at all recently. The cloak, I think, was the most recent. Right, well, I'm here. Let's sort my artifact stuff out. I ought to check if there's any new... whatchamacallits, Kirin Tor quests, seeing as I've still got to do 2 more for the emissary. All these artifact power items and it's just barely nudging that. It's so depressing. Right, it's still telling me to go to that bloody dungeon. I don't want to go to. So I've still got no. Gul'dan. Yeah, I've not looked too much ahead to Nighthold. That's one of my jobs for Christmas. Draft of Souls. No, you can't mean that one, surely. I don't fancy having something that roots me. There is a trinket in Nighthold, isn't there, that reduces the cooldown on your Avenging Wrath. Now, where would that be? Oh. There we go. Your attacks have a chance to reduce the remaining cooldown on Avenging Wrath. Oh, is that the actual one you meant? Yeah. I'm not keen on it in concept because I don't... The problem with that is it means you don't know when Avenging Wrath is going to be off cooldown. You can sort of argue that maybe on the balance of probability that it'll sort of work out about the same. But the problem is, like, because we do so much of our damage during Avenging Wrath, we have to time it very carefully. We have to plan it in advance when we're going to use it. Now, when we don't know when it's going to be available, that becomes the subject of massive RNG. You know, and everyone, of course, does more damage during their cooldowns. And I'm not saying there's no other classes and specs that don't do as a heavy burst as we do during it, but I don't think there are very many. So I don't like the concept of it. But obviously, I strongly suspect it'll be a trinket that we will want. That, you know, that will end up being a good one. It looks like the sort of trinket that will end up being very useful to us. Sorry, looking at that. Well, let's have a look, shall we? So let's change it to Frost Death Knight. Yes, it is, isn't it? No, hold on. Oh, because it's just because I'm a ret, it's still showing me that version. That's boring. All right, fine. I'd have to do it on another character to see the effect on something else, I suppose. I wonder if it's worth my while trying to do the Archway for that Kirin Tor quest, or just wait for tomorrow and hope there's 2 other good ones up. Can't believe this. On an emissary quest day, that there aren't actually enough. That there aren't actually. What the hell? Oh, right, yeah. Did Neltharin's Lair, but didn't do the world quest. Yeah, that there's not actually enough quests to do it. It's a bit crap, that. But anyway, I'm probably going to call it there in a few minutes. If anyone's got any sort of last minute questions, if you throw them in, then I should probably have to start. Sunamar dungeon quests. Well, sorry. If I just go into the world map and I click on this, what it does, you can see it's highlighting this Archway one here. It doesn't say Kirin Tor on it, but clicking on the Kirin Tor symbol highlights it. So basically it's telling you that that quest there is going to cover for Kirin Tor. They usually are. I mean, you can see this one. This is one for Court of Stars. And it says the Nightfallen in the grey bit underneath Dungeon World Quest. It doesn't say anything here, but the fact that, as I say, when I click on that it's highlighting it. Like if I just open it up without having, you know, it's just because that's what it does for the active emissary thing. It puts like a little halo around the ones that are suitable for it. So yeah. So, but I'm just going to hope there's going to be 2 others tomorrow. Even though I sort of do need normal Archway because I still haven't done the quest in it. Because the only time I do Archway, and I do it more often than I would like, is the only time I really do Archway is Mythic Plus, and obviously no one's going to... Well, first of all, you can't do the quest in Mythic Plus, which is annoying, and no one's going to do a world quest in it, because it's taking time out. You're against the clock. But anyway, okay, we'll clear that a day. Thanks for coming. I'll probably put another one on, I don't know when. Probably a few weeks just before Christmas, I guess, would be the natural time to do that. So yeah, until then, I'll see you later.